Yeah. Okay. So everybody, welcome to the call. This is our second Monday night team call. We just recently moved them, so I get really excited when people are able to get on here because I know some people, Mondays didn't work for them, but this worked for the majority. But guys, I'm really happy because tonight we have Diamond Ambassador Angie Zumwalt on here. And I don't know if you guys know, but when I try to find people to be a guest on our Zoom calls, I kind of stalk them a little bit first. So I stalked her Facebook page and I watched some of her trainings. And guys, you are in for a treat tonight. She is incredible. She is so sweet. And I'm just really, really honored that you said yes when I asked you to do this. And she was so gracious about it. Like, of course, I'd love to do it. So I really appreciate it, girl. So take it away. It's all yours.
You are so welcome. I am definitely honored to be on your call tonight. So thank you all for taking time to, out of your busy night, to share my story, and then I'm going to share a little bit of tips. And I always tell my team, and I tell people on my calls, like, if you have questions that you think of during it, feel free to put it in the chat, and then we can go over those like after we're done. So my name is Angie Zumwalt, and I am a Diamond Ambassador with Plexus, and I joined Plexus in March of 2014. And I always like to rewind back a little bit so that you know a little bit about my background. I was in July of 2013, I was laid off from the title company. And if you know anything about the title mortgage housing industry, y'all, it is crazy demanding. It's a crazy, crazy demanding to be in business or to work in. And I was working, y'all, about 50 plus hours a week, even more at the end of the month. So honestly, the layoff was such a blessing in disguise because we had just adopted our son, or that was, we just completed the adoption of him. And so in March, and so it was really kind of an answer to prayer. And my husband and I talked about it, and we just kind of prayed about it, and we decided that, you know, I would just stay home with my son and my daughter until after the first of the year, and then go back to work after the first of the year. So after the first of the year rolled around, y'all, I did not want to go back to work. I just started having flashbacks of going to work, you know, when my kids were still asleep, and, you know, giving them kisses, and then driving home and they were in bed, and just never seeing them. And I would drive home from work, you know, in just tears, because I missed being with my family. I missed those precious times with my children. And I was like Miss Perfect around the house. I made sure that I didn't do anything wrong. You know, I was really trying to do everything right and stay under the wire so that my husband didn't put pressure on me to go back to work. And you know, just with finances and everything else, I started getting more and more pressure to go back to work. And in the meantime, my really good friends from church, I used to live in Texas, and my really good friends, Adrienne Mitchell and Ellen Ford, were posting. I remember they started posting about Plexus on Facebook, and I was like, girl, why are you posting about some weight loss stuff on Facebook? Because Ellen Ford is like this little bitty skinny thing, and she did not need to lose weight. So I really didn't know what it was. I actually unfollowed them because I thought it was really annoying. And then I remember at church, you know, kind of trying to avoid them, but I really couldn't avoid them. And they always were talking to me about it. And I'm thinking, we can't hardly afford to pay our bills right now or buy food. So I'm definitely not joining some like weight loss thing. But she just kept after me, and Andrea, and they were both just kept sharing with me. And finally, one day she was telling me how much she was making. And at that time, she was a fairly new ambassador. She was making about $1,000 a month. And that was the exact amount that me and my husband had prayed about, had discussed, that I would need to make in order to stay home with the kids. So I was like, I didn't even ask questions. I borrowed the money. I signed up right away. And I was like, tell me what I need to do to make money. I had no idea that these products would benefit me so much. I mean, because honestly, I had this drive that I wanted to be home with my kids. But about 3 weeks in on the products, I was a heavy caffeine drinker, like 2 cups of coffee in the morning at home. Then I would go to Starbucks, and then like 10 o'clock, you get that crash. My headache would start coming on. I would go to Sonic, and I would get a Route 44 cherry Coke, which, if you don't know, it's like 570 calories, not to mention the calories that I had from the Starbucks and the other coffee. But I had 3 of those Route 44 cherry Cokes a day. I was almost at like over 1,500 calories a day in just my drinks. It was ridiculous. I felt horrible. I had headaches all the time. And so the first time I remember going to the store one day, and kind of my typical routine was I would go to the grocery store, and immediately I would go to the little freezer thing with the sodas in there, and I would get a Coke, and I would get like a little Reese's peanut butter cup, and I would like walk around, do my grocery shopping. And I remember getting that Coke, and I was like, gosh, this tastes disgusting. And I just thought it was flat. And then I remember going to the little Subway inside the grocery store, and I got a Coke from there, and it tasted gross. And I had one at home, and I was like, I don't know what is going on. Well, I mean, as you all know, if you've been on these products, it was the products were changing my taste and my desires. I no longer had the desire for the soda. My son at that time was teething, and he was one of those babies that would, the tooth would pop out, and then it would go back in and disappear, and he did not sleep well. And so I remember, I would get not a lot of sleep. I felt exhausted, and I kind of just felt like that was the way it was going to be. Well, all of a sudden I was waking up. I didn't feel bad. I didn't have a headache. I had energy to last throughout the day. And so, I mean, for me, health-wise, just kind of that unexpected blessing, with my doctor's approval, I put my daughter on the products, and my daughter has ADHD, and she was taking kind of a medium dose of ADHD medication. And with doctor's approval, I put her on the products. I put her on just about everything except for the pink drink, because she won't drink it. And within a year, I have been able to completely wean her off. And I mean, that has just been, as a mother, to not have to give my daughter that medication, and for her to still thrive, has been a huge blessing. My mother's gotten off of medication. Just recently, I was able to retire my husband from his corporate job. So, I mean, these products, this business has been just life-changing for me. But I want to share, all this wonderful stuff about my journey. I'm a very, very vulnerable person, and I like to share kind of my struggles that I have been through. And I just wanted to share, so I lived in Texas, and then when my husband's job transferred to Florida, so we moved to Florida. And when we moved to Florida, I kind of went through a little bit of depression. And it was just, on the outside, you would have thought, wow, Angie is on the top of the world. At that point, I had just went Emerald. I had got my new Lexus. I had went to Maui. I'd earned the Bloomingdale shopping spree. And I mean, I'm in Florida at the beach all the time, right? What a wonderful life. But y'all, in the inside, I was dealing with so much negative self-talk, I let a few people's negativity just ruin my mindset, and really started to tear me down. And it was kind of that conversation with some negative comments, some comparison, and then me moving to this new state where I had to get all new friends. My daughter was adjusting. My son was fine because he was still little. I'm away from my family. It was kind of just all of it on top of each other just threw me into this, like, I felt so lonely. I missed my home. And y'all, it completely killed my business, and it held me back big time. That I am a firm believer that, I think that when you are in the trenches is when God does some of his mightiest work. When you're feeling low, I like that quote that it was Janet Houghton's daughter had say, when you're feeling low, look up to the highest. And that was kind of what I started doing. I started praying. Lord, just show me your purpose for me in this journey. And I'll kind of back up a little bit, because you may or may not know a little detail about my journey and maybe why I was kind of starting to feel negative about myself. And so my level 1 is Julia Carty, and she is absolutely amazing, my dear sweet friend. And she actually had passed me, and I think she hit diamond last year. And so it was that whole comparison thing, and me not thinking I'm good enough, and me not thinking, gosh, why would my team want to hear from me? Because, they've got her and she's so much better. And it was never, ever, ever anything that she did, but it was something that, I allowed the devil to capture my thoughts, and I allowed comparison to just kill my business. And, that's when I started praying, God, please show me your purpose for me in this business. Please show me why you have me on this journey that you have me on, and why you have me in this position. And y'all, I am not kidding. Within 2 weeks, I got a message from someone in my downline, and they sent me a voice message, and I was just in tears. It was telling me, what an inspiration I was, and, just my position. It was exactly what I had been praying for. The reason why, my position with where I was in my journey was so vital to our team. And God started unfolding all of these people. I felt like he was just sending me all of these angels to help me find his purpose for me in this journey. And so that comes kind of to my first tip. Y'all, one of the biggest tips, I think, and probably I think is one of the biggest struggles in this business, is mindset. And mindset is so huge for your growth in this business. I took a Leslie Zan course. She is absolutely fabulous if you ever have a chance to do any of her training. And she said in her course, and it just kind of just stuck with me, mindset trumps skill set every time. And y'all, this is so, so true. Do not let comparison steal your journey, steal your joy. We are all in this journey on our own journey. Your journey is unique to you. We are all going to go through seasons in our business. We're going to go through seasons of prosper. We're going to go through seasons of famine when things aren't going good. Our points are going down. Everybody in our team is quitting. Every customer is quitting. But God is using that to prepare you for something mighty. And it is in those trenches where he is really going to grow you. And your mindset and how you think and how you talk to yourself is going to be so huge. And you just got to know that, y'all, if it takes you 10 years to get to diamond, I promise you, you cannot work in any other corporate office for 10 years and make the kind of money that you will make as a diamond, at least not any that I know of. So just really think about that. Stop comparing yourself and put your blinders on. It is so, so important to not compare yourself to other people. And just know that God has you exactly where he wants you. Get a sideline buddy, a mentor. I like to team up with a running buddy, and I know they talked a lot about this at Super Saturday, and this is huge. Make sure, though, there are a lot of things that you need to think about when you get a running buddy, though. you want to make sure that you are on the same page. You want to make sure that it is someone that you're going to be able to hold each other accountable, that you're going to be able to lift each other up. And I really, really want to encourage you that you make sure that you stay away from negativity. Make sure that when you choose a running buddy, that they are someone that is uplifting and not discouraging. That is really, really huge. And, you know, it's important to be able to vent what you're feeling. It's important if you're having a bad month to be able to vent what you're feeling. But I do not recommend doing this to your sideline partner. If you need to vent, you need to talk, you need to go to your upline. You need to make sure to always vent up and never vent down. Never, ever vent on your team pages, on your Facebook pages. You've got to make sure you stay away from negativity and negative people. You know, and even like, I'm not saying that when you post on Facebook or when you post, you know, that you're always supposed to paint rainbows and sunshine. But if I went on my Facebook wall and posted, you know, something not nice about my spouse, which I would never do that, or, you know, just something really negative, like, how does that make me look? And are you going to want to do business with me if I'm negative on my Facebook wall? So really be cautious about what you're posting, and remember that you are representing Plexus, and you are representing a company that's a health and wellness company. So that's, you know, kind of another thing to think about. I mean, I went to Texas this weekend, and they do not have Whataburger in Florida anywhere near me, and so I had one. But I'm not going to post all about all this bad food that I ate every day or all this other stuff when I am a representative for health and wellness. So it's really important that you are just not telling people about it, that you're also walking the walk. So personal development is absolutely huge. And when I took the Leslie's Ann course, I've always thought that personal development meant that, you know, I'm going to go read, you know, Eric Worre, or I'm going to go read Sarah Robbins. And those are all fabulous books, but that is business development. Personal development is developing you, investing in you. I am a Christian, and I am not shy to talk about that. And one of the biggest things for me is making sure that I do my quiet time and that I lean on the Word. Also, you know, another thing that I like to do is there are some personal development books that I have read that have really made a huge difference. And I just take like a couple of pages a day, you know, in the morning after I do my quiet time and do my, you know, pray for my team. Then I'll do, you know, just a couple of pages of my personal development book. Really good ones that I would recommend. Switch Your Brain On is probably my very favorite. That's what I started reading when I was going through that craziness of self-doubt and negative talk. And it has like it goes through all of this, and then it has a whole 30-day detox at the end. It is a fabulous, fabulous book. I also like What to Say When You Talk to Yourself, self-talk, soul talk. And I think that's it. That's all I have written down. Another thing that I did when I started struggling, I prayed for God to give me a verse with His promises, a verse that I felt like, you know, I would pray about it, and then I would go to the images and type like inspirational Bible verses and kind of just try to think about what God was giving me at that time. And I would use that. I would use the little image, and I would save it on the screensaver of my phone and the wallpaper of my phone. And it was kind of like a personal, a daily affirmation to myself. So every day I would look down, because we look at our phone like 5,000 times a day. So every day I'll look at my phone, and I would see, you know, one of them was Psalms 46:5. If God is within her, she will not fail. And I kept saying, okay, God is within me. I will not fail. I can do this. You know, I can do all things through Christ that gives me strength. And for everything. And that made a huge difference in my mindset and just really believing that God wanted to bless me through this business, and I just needed to trust in him. And that was a really big thing for me as well. Activity is so important. It is really, really important that you are doing your daily activity. Your action is going to kill your doubt. Activity will drown out fear and negative feelings. Stop saying, I am always like, when people tell me this, like, oh gosh, Angie, if I could only get that rock star, if I could only get, that person that really catches the vision, then I'll be able to rank up. Then I'll be a diamond. You know what? You need to be your own rock star. You must be consistent with posting on Facebook. You must be doing your 531 every day. And in case you may or may not know what that is, 531 is reaching out to 5 people every day, following up with 3, and training 1. And I say that 1 should always be yourself. You should train yourself every day. But then if you do have a downline, you should at least reach out, share what you train yourself on every day to someone new in your downline. And y'all, if reaching out to 5 people every day, and when I say every day to my team, I always tell them, treat this like a job, and you're going to make a great income. Treat this like a hobby, and you're going to make hobby income. So when I say, every day, I always tell them at least Monday through Friday, you should be doing, reaching out to those people every Monday through Friday. But then, consistent with your posting, you should be doing your posting. I always say, at least 6 days a week. Schedule those things on Buffer. If you do not know what Buffer is, I highly recommend it. I'm a huge Buffer person because I get super busy and I can be a little bit forgetful. But that will help you save time, and it will help you make sure that you get those posts out. I even use Buffer for my team pages. But making sure, you're being your own rock star, you're leading by example, you're posting on Facebook, you're doing your 531. You're adding new people to your team. So even at Diamond, I try to go silver every single month. And if I can go silver every single month, then, you all should be able to go silver every single month. And I may not, 1 month I might add 2 people or whatever, but I make sure that I try to go every single month. I will never, ever, as a leader, ask my team to do something that I'm not going to do. As a leader, you are going to set the tone and the pace for your team. That's why you've got to be making sure that you are leading by example. And with everything that's been going on, with kind of the craziness of the back office and everything else, you've got to drown yourself in action, in activity. The more activity that you do, the more belief you're going to have, and the more success that you will have. A really, really big thing for me is this next one, and that's being coachable and teachable. Y'all, I am a super, super sensitive person. I always have been. I grew up with a bunch of brothers that always picked on me. And so I'm just a really sensitive person. Sometimes I wear my my feelings on my shoulders. I have never, ever been really good at accepting constructive criticism. But that is one thing I have had to learn with Plexus, is being open and willing to accept constructive criticism. When someone tells me something, and at first, I still kind of at first, but I'm a lot better at not responding. If someone, gives me feedback, if my upline is Ellen Ford, and she's pretty bold and upfront, and sometimes she would tell me things, and I'm like, well, gosh, that really didn't hurt. That really hurt my feelings. But what I started to do, instead of like getting upset with her about it, what I started to do is I would come back, I would pray about it, I would ask God to help me find truth in it, and I would make changes. And until I started doing this, my business did not grow like it needed to. So I just want to encourage you, be willing to accept constructive criticism. be willing to be coachable and teachable. You know, I know for people that are sensitive or people that are really stubborn, that this can be a really hard thing for us. I know that it's a really hard thing for me, but that is something that will hold you back. If you want to grow in this business, you have got to be willing to make sacrifices. Until Plexus is a priority in your life, everything else is going to remain the same. You know, there is something to me about this gold position. And if you were a gold ambassador, that is amazing and congratulations. But that is, to me, I have found out that kind of seems to be, you know, the flyer fell. And I think what happens is, you know, at gold, you kind of start accepting more responsibility. You get more people underneath you. And then people start quitting. And then you're like, you know, you kind of get deflated. Like everybody's quitting, everybody's giving up. You have to be willing to, you know, persevere through that and keep going. You have to make sure that you're continuing to add people to backfill the people that do quit, because y'all, people are going to quit. Not everybody is going to want to do this. Not everybody is going to want our products. Not everyone is going to want to do the business. But you have to be willing to keep persevering and keep asking people and keep inviting people, because we have products that change lives. We have a business opportunity that changes lives, y'all, and people need this. I'm telling you, I have studied so many other compensation plans, and our compensation plan is truly unmatched. So you've got to look at it this way. If someone tells you no, you move on, but you are doing a disjustice to your friends if you are not sharing Plexus with them. So make sure, you know, don't be afraid of rejection. Just keep moving forward. Keep going to the next person. And, you know, and as far as making sacrifices, y'all, I did not get to Diamond by not getting on calls every night, by, you know, not making sure, you know, cutting out TV. There were so many sacrifices. Instead of, you know, going out for the weekend or whatever, you know, there were so many things, and there's so many things I still do to sacrifice. But if you are willing to make some of those sacrifices, I promise you, it is going to be so worth it. Lastly, I like to say that your upline is not your boss. You know, I hear people sometimes, and I have a really sweet friend, and I always share her testimony. But, you know, she is an Emerald ambassador, and she's almost Sapphire, and she did not have an upline. She did not have an upline that wanted to work the business. In fact, the first upline that she had that wanted to work the business was like 5 levels up. So you know what she did? She asked her direct upline if she knew who it was. She got her phone number. She called her on the phone. She gave her a few tips. She had like one hour conversation with this person, and that was it. And then she went and sought out her own mentors, and she went and did this on her own. And that's what I want to say. Do not make excuses. Do not blame it on your upline. Do not blame it on your downline. The only person that is holding you back from success is you. So be, I just went blank on the word. You know, go out there and do it. Go out there. I mean, there are so many resources out there. Go to YouTube. We're so fortunate now, because when I joined, I got some little like flip thing. I mean, it wasn't a lot of information. We didn't have trainings like crazy. So we are so fortunate with all of the training material that we have. And I just want to tell you, I want to thank you, first of all, for taking your time out for being on this call tonight. Y'all, I believe that each and every one of you has what it takes to get to the top of the company. But you've got to believe in yourself. You've got to be willing to make the sacrifices and persevere through the challenges. And if you are willing to do that, I'm telling you, this business has been the biggest blessing, could be the biggest blessing to your lives, like it has been to mine. And I know so many.
Yeah, thank you, girl, so much. Oh my gosh, there was so much of that. I never and I need to fix this. I never remember to grab paper and pen to take notes because I'm so used to listening and like thinking about, okay, do I have questions I want to ask her? And then I always re-listen, and that's when I take my notes. But there were like so many things that stood out to me in that. But I mean, the main one and the thing that I've really been dwelling on a lot the last probably 3 months or so is that self-development and training yourself. You have to, nobody, unless you're like some network marketing guru, nobody comes into this business knowing how to do this business. You have to train yourself how to do it. It's like any other job. You listen to training and you teach yourself what you need to do in this. And so if you're not doing that, which team calls, everybody who's on this, they're investing in that. You're investing in training yourself. And I'm telling you now, as far as mindset, what is in your mind is going to drive your action. So if you're listening to calls and audiobooks and all those things, that's going to drive your action. You're going to be motivated and, you're going to be positive about it and do activity for your business. And if you don't, then you're not going to. And that's when doubts creep in and discouragement creeps in. And I'm telling you now, you procrastinate 1 to 2 days in a row, and that third day becomes really, really easy to procrastinate and not do your IPAs. And when I realized a couple months ago, I'm like, okay, I'm in the car a lot. We have 4 kids. Everybody does sports 5 days a week. 13 and a half hours a week I'm in my car, and I realized that's time I wasn't using. And we all have stuff like that. And it just helps. It keeps you focused, and you do learn so much about yourself. And so that's been the one thing I'm like, I stress to everybody, get on the team calls no matter what. Even if you don't want to, nobody wants to. It's always another thing in your schedule that you don't want to do, but you never regret it. And you always learn so much from it. So I appreciate it, girl. Thank you so, so much.
You're so very welcome. Thank you so much for reaching out to me. It was an honor to be able to share with y'all.
Oh, well, you are the best. I'm going to stop the recording.